Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I am back for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery for the month of May, where we've got the prompt of a slow stitch box, and I'm making two and this one is a house shaped box with hexagon walls, embroidery, some other embellishments I'm going to talk to you about today, and we're also going to spend some time working on the other side of the roof, which I'm using clamshells, so another English paper piecing method I'm using. As you if you've been watching this channel, I experiment till I find a method that works for me, or find multiple methods that work for me, and so I'll be sharing my own method for doing clamshells here. Particularly when you're going to stitch over the top of them, as I have done. So we'll come back to that. I thought the first thing I wanted to do was to give you an update on how I've gone with the wall. So I've now got a wall for the side and the front sort of wall, or would that be the side wall? Actually, yeah, this will be more the front of the house, because what I am thinking, and this is what I would like to get your advice on, because I'm not going to sew it on tonight, is I've got this piece of brown lace, vintage lace that I got recently, and I've cut it into, first of all I had it in a standard rectangle door shape, now I've cut it into a nice little more archy shape. And then I had some pieces of a vintage handkerchief which I've actually used some acrylic goldy coloured paint on, because I had them originally in the white colour and they looked too harsh, but I thought with the gold they almost look like sort of metallic sort of plate windows or something. So what I'm wondering about is, what do you think about adding those onto here? Another alternative would be I just put vines growing up, but I thought I should have a door and windows. Do you like the door as an arch? I've got more of the lace if you thought it would look better as a rectangle. And do you like the windows? Give you a closer look so you can give me some feedback. And with the door, would you like to see it sort of non-symmetrical like that, or would you like to see the windows more symmetrical? I'll probably put them down a bit because the roof will also sort of, yeah, come down a little ways. I'm also toying with the idea of adding some of the embellishments that came off what people have helpfully suggested was probably a pillowcase, something that went around a pillowcase. And so I've got a couple of these that I've detached, and I thought I could add some of these by the door as well. Possibly I might even add some acrylic paint to them as well, or I could actually stitch into them, which I might have to do before I put them on, because this is now mounted onto the card. I can probably still get some stitching in, but it might be easier to stitch into them off the piece, or otherwise just leave them with the contrasting colour. I don't think that's standing out as much as the windows did. I could also just actually that would be a good idea, maybe tea dye these just very lightly to take a little bit more of the white off. So let me know what you think. Door, windows, flowers. And would you go symmetrical, or would you maybe go non-symmetrical? Maybe just one flower, maybe the two flowers together. Lots and lots of possibilities there. So I'm going to put those to the side over on my shelf over here so I don't lose them, as I am wont to do. And I thought I would show you how I am bringing the pieces together. So I'm oh, and I finished off after the last video. Sorry, I'm all excited, all a go-go. After the last video with you, I finished off adding more lovely vines and flowers, and I just really love how that has turned out. I love that it's not symmetrical. I love that it's wild. And it's holding this piece together beautifully. I did add those few extra stitches down, particularly down this bit where there was just the risk, because I'd used the Eppiflex, the steamer seam to join it together, that they might sort of, yeah, come apart. But just, yeah, really pleased with that. And then on the inside, I've done the technique where I've brought the hexagons over, and I just love the effect that that has given around the inside, and indeed along the edges where you'll see it when you open one part of the roof. So very happy with that, and I've got all my little sewn on double 2 wrap French knots. I was just thinking, what type of knot is that? French knot for a French little cottage. So that's where it's up to. Really, really pleased, really excited about where it is. But I thought I should show you the joining of the two sides before we move on with the roof. So what I've done is just started off and secreted the knot into one of these little end pieces. So I've just sort of passed the needle. I've been using a big needle because I find that quite helpful when I've got to maneuver it. And then I've just done, which you might have seen me do in previous videos, a form of a ladder stitch. So the ladder stitch ends up giving you all these cross stitches across this way, but the great thing is when you gently pull the thread, it tightens all your ladder stitches up. So I'm just getting it so I can properly give it a pull. And as you can see there, all the ladder stitches have just disappeared into the seam. So we're going to finish doing that. I'll let it loosen up a little bit again. I've had this thread and this piece moving around on my desk the last few days when I haven't had a chance to do a video. So hopefully it hasn't got weakened. So I hope you're having a great day. Hope you've been getting some stitching time. I actually didn't get any stitching last night, so I said to Alex straight after dinner, tonight I am heading up there because I need to get my balance back. I feel very, very off kilter when I don't get to stitch in the evenings. It throws me for a six. And so with the ladder stitch, you're just taking your, normally it might be in a seam. Here we're just following up part of the fabric. You're going sort of straight up wherever your seam or the area where you're secreting your stitches, and then when you come out you're going across to the other side, directly across, and doing the same. So just passing your needle a short distance up. And I am actually going to put my little thimble on because I got a little sore on my finger when I was moving some furniture on the weekend, so it's been a little bit touch and go there. Annoying when you get a sore on a part of your hand that you realise that you use quite a bit when you're stitching. So maybe it wasn't such a bad thing that I didn't get to stitch last night. I don't really like wearing band-aids either. I find they're a bit, well, when they get wet and soggy, even the sort of waterproofy ones, they just feel a bit yucko. Oops, I'm getting my clamshell templates all over the place. And if I feel this needs it at the end, I can always come down and do some more sort of stitches or do some stitches on the inside. But we'll see how this looks. It's also going to be held together by the base when we stitch that on also. That will sort of hold it in alignment. So I'll just bring it round on the corner. Give it, hopefully you can see okay. It's a bit funny when we're kind of doing it like this, but I want it standing sort of the way that it's going to be when I tighten it up. And then I'll want to just put a little holding stitch or two across. Just taking my thimble off because it's trying to slip off. Oops. See, and the thread has obviously got a bit, because it didn't break on the bit where I was working, but it has broken a bit further down. I might just get one of my smaller needles for a moment. One of my little chenille needles. Thread that, and I just want to get this anchored off. It was just a vintage thread that I was using, so possibly it's a little bit weaker, but as I say, it had been sort of shifted around on my craft desk over the last few days, so it might have got a bit of wear and tear. So I'm just putting a few knots in, and then I'll just secrete the thread into the piece of hexies. Pull the thread through, pull it a bit tighter than it needs to be, and then that way the end of the thread will just pop back into your work. And so there it is. So there are still a few little sort of gappy bits showing, but I'm not too fussed at the moment because I don't even know if I might not finish putting some sort of lace or anything else. So for the time being, I'm happy that that is holding together. And if I really wanted to do some more stitches, I could then come down and do another bit of stitching down on the inside before I start to put anything else on. So let me then give you a look. I'm going to stand up for a moment because I might need to bring the camera up. I think I will. Just close your eyes for a moment. And so the roof is going to sit from about there, and I think this is where I need to turn it then on its side to show you how it's going to look. So the roof will be coming down from there, and one part of the roof will open up in a hinging sort of formation, and the other side of the roof will be solidly attached to the house. We'll have the other two walls that will be identical to these, but with obviously this wall replicated at this end, this wall replicated over there, and we'll be doing a base piece, which I'm just going to cover in one of the fabrics that I've got that coordinate with this particular fabric. So that's the plan of attack for that. And in fact, these other two walls, I'm just trying to remember, I don't know if I've left myself enough fabric to have identical fabric on these ones and these ones, or if I'll be using a coordinating one for that. I think I might be using something that coordinates rather than the exact same burgundy colours, I think. So stand by. It will all be a wonderful, wonderful surprise. So let's now have a go at doing some work on the roof. So I'll bring you down again, close your eyes. So the roof, what is it made up of? So I'm going to have a piece that's covered like this one here. And again, I've done the decorative little French knot, double wrap French knots to fill in the area using this lovely, I don't even know what colour this is. It's sort of an olivey, greeny, slightly bronzy, not sure, but a lovely colour. And I've also used that in the decorative stitching that I've done around the outside. And I've got two pieces. So I've got the piece that I've mounted the clamshells onto, and then I've got the piece that I'm sandwiching with it, which is again just a piece of cardboard covered, in this case in the pink felt, because I have plenty of that to use up as well. And then I've overlapped the internal fabric as I did with the other pieces and put stitches in to hold that in place. And then I've got this piece which will come over and which will be stitched down once we're finished doing the decorative stitching, as I've done along the top with just a whip stitch to stitch the two pieces together. So I'll do that same whip stitch down the sides. I've intentionally left this bit, the clamshell bit, slightly wider than the base bit because I want to be able to sort of angle it down and over so that it's sort of at the edge of the roof, it's just slightly overlapping down. It's just a design preference, not absolutely mandatory. And then I've also stitched a little bit of this beautiful vintage lace that I got recently. I've got some more of it. And I am going to have that sitting down there, so that will again get, I'll just be putting some stitches in place to stitch the roof down. But how cute this is, I was thinking, oh, wouldn't it be great to even have it as like a little notebook on the roof that flips up? But I thought, no, that's getting a little bit too fussy, Christine. Let's turn it actually into the roof that it was intended for. But you could very easily adapt this to be a little book or journal cover or something else. I did make a cover for a little fabric sort of keep, which I gave to Juanette when she was in Australia, with beautiful greens on it. So if I remember, I'll try and link to that video as well if you want to see how I made that, because I actually used a different technique where I was stitching each of the clamshells in as I went, and then taking the molds out. So the technique I'm going to be showing you tonight is a different one from that one. So if you want to see two different techniques, then yeah, you can definitely check out that video if you would like. So before we come and do the decorative stitching, I'll show you the method for the clamshells. I don't know if I'll do an entire layout. We'll see how we go. I'll put my needles out of the way for the time being because we don't need those. And I've got a piece of pinky felt. Again, the only area where you'll see the pinky felt is just slightly along here, and I do still have the choice if I want to do a whip stitch over the base of these, although I think it's kind of fine. And then you see a little bit of a pinky tone coming through underneath some of the lighter ones, but I kind of like that because it just kind of links in with the ready tones in the hexi pieces. So clamshells, what are they? A clamshell template is usually going to be something like this, and the clamshell pattern that you get is where you have them overlapping basically by half. So if you drew a line down here and a line down there, they're offset by a half from the row above or below them. And it can be very hard if you were just working with these and trying to get them to line up perfectly. You might struggle a bit. Now what the lovely folks at Eppiflex, again, I'm not sponsored, I have no financial relationship with them. I've paid for, and I will continue to pay for my own products that I buy from them because they're reusable, and I think they're incredibly great value, and they're a little Australian company. I think they're little. I think it's a family company, and I just think their products make these techniques really easy. And the great thing is they do let you innovate and adapt, which is what I love to do, and which is what I've been doing with this project. And they came up with this template. Now I'm not sure if other brands sell similar sorts of templates. You can see it's got glue all over it from a previous time when I had it sort of glued down. We'll be using it loose form today, and it helps you get your templates well lined up and in the right place, and I'll show you how it does it. Now for tonight's one, I know the size that I want it to be because I want it to be the same width as what I've got here, which is the width of the felt, helpfully. And then I measured this piece so it is just slightly larger, sorry, other way around. It's just slightly longer, just to give me a little bit of leeway, slightly longer than the piece on this one. And then I've drawn my clamshells using the template. I had to move it to get that last little bit. I've drawn them in place so that the bottoms of the clamshells come down to the bottom of the piece of felt, as was in the case here. And what I want to do this time, because on this one I actually then cut the felt back after I'd positioned the clamshells by just peeling them up a bit and then putting them back down. I'm going to actually cut along the line that I've drawn with my friction marker, although it doesn't really matter because it's all going to be covered up anyway. But the great thing with the friction marker is it disappears with heat as well. So I'm going to just cut just on the inside of the blue lines. I just like to show you all this, and as I evolve the techniques I share the methods, and you can work out, is that something you want to do? At least you can see different ways to do things. And you can obviously do clamshells using traditional templates. You might just need to slightly morph your technique. But this has given me an idea of how I want to try the next wall of the hexies, because I think this will work for them as well. Aren't they cute little shapes that I got? But no, I don't think I need to keep them. I do tend to keep way too many little scraps in my craft room. Now, I've got my clam shells, and I'm just having a look around to get some paper because I'll need some paper to be able to do some gluing and things on. Got some old calendar pages. So these clam shells, what I'm doing is I've been using just the little mini charm squares because they're the perfect size for a single clamshell. If you'll remember when we were doing the hexagons, I was getting 4 hexies because they're much smaller out of the one. And what I'm going to do is, this one I've already glued and prepared, but I'll just show you how easy it is to, first of all, once it's all glued, to give it an iron, just to make sure that it's nice and crisp around the edges. And then just to flickaroo it out of its template. It keeps that lovely, lovely crease. If you want to just make sure it's going to stay set, you can just put a little doblet of the glue around. My good old friend the Yoo-hoo glue. Again, no financial relationship, although I probably should take out shares with them based on how much I use. I had to, throw away two empty tubes of it. In fact, I wish there was a way that you could just get the inners and, could keep recycling the tube. That would be good. I should investigate if there's a glue stick that's reasonably available that does that and has a similar function to the Yoo-hoo. And then all I do is pop my glue on. And we are actually going to need one to go there, but I'm just going to, I'll start with this one. Start with this one first, and I'm just going to bring it slightly lower down than where the felt is, just so it's slightly over where the felt is. Just like that. Now I'll show you, let me find something that's got a nice contrast. I think we can do some butterflies next. I'll grab one of my templates. Again, with these templates, you can kind of work out what you want to capture, because the clamshells can sit either that way or that way. So you can maximize your butterflies. Also remember that the roof is going to be sort of sitting like that. So whatever's, you almost kind of need to, think about how it's going to look when it's sitting this direction. So maybe I can maximize, but you won't see anything sort of up above that. So I'll probably still only get about one butterfly in. I've got my box of scrappy doos. What's the cardboard doing in there? I don't know. And so you're going to just cut with a seam around. It doesn't have to be precise either. Like that. And then just going to put a bit of glue around. You can actually just run the fabric around the top of the glue, which is what I usually do, but for some reason I did it that way this time. Then going to position your template, and then I like to leave it sitting down on the surface, because then I can hold it down firmly with one finger and use my other finger to just crease around, give it a good press. So you're wanting to get it really nice and tight around just the arc where you've got the plastic arc, like that. Then you're going to get your iron, give it a good iron, particularly on the other side, but I'll give it a good iron on this side. And again, you can do this all in one go. You don't have to leave them to dry, because the iron will sort of start to dry the glue anyway. And all you're really going for is just the glue's helping to hold this, and it will get quite warm. You'll need to work out what temperature you have your iron on. But you don't want to burn your fingers. But as you can see, that beautiful crease is in its place. I can just add a little bit of glue around this glue is about to run out, so I'm not sure how much more glue pasting we will be doing. Unless I did tidy up my glues the other day, and I'm just trying to remember where I put them. Did I put them over there somewhere? Just having a peer around. And thank you to the helpful viewer last time that told me that when I was doing the hexi little flower that I ended up leaving one of the hexies in by accident. I did not even notice that I had actually done that until I was giving it an iron. This is a little hexi flower I made, and I found one of them had actually still had its hexi in. The great thing is I was able to peel it up and put it back down, give it an iron, and the steamer seam still kept it well attached on. So this one I haven't even stitched into or anything yet, but the steamer seam is holding the little hexi flower beautifully. So I'll include a link to that previous video too, in case you missed it and want to see how that all works. So we're just overlapping these. I'll show you what I do at the end. Let me have a look if I've got one that's already done, which I do. And I'm just going to stand up briefly and check if I do have my glues. Yes, I do. I put them, thank you Christine of the weekend past. I had this little wooden tray. I think it originally had maybe some stamps or something in it, but they're the perfect size to have the little glue sticks standing up in them. So there they are. Alex laughed when I got that many glues from Amazon, but I'm working my way through them. Sorry, I've got my little metal tub at my feet. I'm sure you're all used to that. You kind of have your little bit of bench space in front of you, and then you're surrounded by stuff unsurrounded. So I'm going to keep that glue for other things when I don't need high performance. Just to finish off that last little bit, I usually scrape out the last little bit of them as well, because I don't like wasting. So Eppiflex templates, they're really good because you can iron them. You can actually wash them, I think either in the dishwasher or washing machine. I can't remember what they said, but I've never washed them. I just use them with the glue and keep using them basically. So here's another one that we had prepared earlier, but it works just as well whether they are prepared earlier or done then and there on the spot. I've not found any difference. So this one's quite pretty. I don't think I actually want to put that one. I want to find one that's a bit plainer to put on this end. I might use this one because it's quite a pale fabric. I've got quite a bit of that fabric. So we'll put this one, I think we'll put that one there actually, while we've got it ready to go. Isn't it nice when you get a new glue stick and it's not too goopy? Probably helps that it's quite cold at the moment as well. Not cold compared to those of you overseas. I know when we're having our discussion around friction markers, many of you are in cold climates where the friction markers will come back. Never happened to me in Australia because we just don't, even though it gets cool here in winter, it just does not get super cold. Now that piece of fabric has a few creases in it, so I'm just going to give it a quick little iron to start. Take its little fringy pieces off. And the other thing you can do with some of these fabrics is actually use the reverse side of them. If you had something that was too dramatic like this one and you wanted to just have a more subtle thing, I don't think I'm going to use this. I originally had it on this one, but it was a bit too standy out. So, Christine, focus, focus, focus. I just always have so many things I want to tell you, so many thoughts. So yeah, you don't have to use the mini charm squares. I have used them mostly because they gave me some good coordinating fabrics, but then I was needing a few extra pieces for the hexies, so I've also got a few extra pieces for here as well. Just looked at some coordinating fabrics. So if you don't want to be gluing on the paper, you can actually just use your finger and just run the fabric around the glue stick, and that way hopefully you won't get any glue on yourself. I have got my little rag with me because I'm sure I will end up with a little bit of glue just on the tips of my fingers. And then holding it down on the surface, and we're just going to do that same motion of pulling it and creasing it around so that you get a nice tight fold. So when I first got these, I thought I'd have to stitch all the way around them, and certainly in the other video I was stitching them down as I went, but this is so super quick and easy. It really is a fabulous little technique. In fact, I didn't iron that side, and it does need an iron because it is a little bit crinkly. Okay, so again, a flicky root out. Put a little bit of smallest amount of glue. Just get it to crease the way you had it. If that's the Travis hair or a piece of fibre from my fibre creations. And so here at this end, we're just going to have it crease. Oops, nope, sticking to the paper. We're not going to have that because we're not wanting to put clamshells on the paper. We're wanting them on the fabric. So because I want it to overlap here, I'm going to just cut it like that. And in fact, I might even be able to use that at the other end. We shall see. And then just going to try not to get gunky gunks on my scissors. Let's just check that it's still sitting okay at the front. It is. Probably just sitting a tiny bit too far over. Just going to fold that over so we don't have a raw edge at that side. That one I probably didn't. I got a slightly sharper edge on that little bit down there, but I'm really not going to get too fussed by that. Let's get rid of that slightly gluey bit. Let's then keep moving everything around, don't I? We never have enough room, do we, on our desk? So I'm giving this one a little iron on both sides. We're then going to pop it out, pop a little bit of glue on. Pop a bit of glue, and I'm not worried that the writing is upside down on this. I don't really need it to look like writing, just like on this one over here. This writing's upside down, but I just want it to look decorative rather than actually like writing on this occasion. And then let's pick another one that's not as exciting to have on the end. Maybe that one, although that's okay. Maybe just a plain, although that's going to look very similar to that actually. Just going through what I've got here. Is there anything boring? Maybe, because I do have more of this fabric if I need it. Maybe I'll just do the little stripy one on that end. Do it on an angle, a jaunty angle, I think. I think this was originally off a pillowcase or something. It's funny how I can remember things I've bought from op shops and other places. I'm quite a visual person. I can remember where on a page I've seen something. I think I've told you before, I can't remember a phone number to save my life, but I can remember where I've seen something on a page. I could probably remember numbers if I taught myself a way to kind of visually remember them. Maybe I just don't want to. Maybe numbers just aren't that important to me. Maybe I'd remember them if they had a slow stitching importance. I was trying to read an article last night that was on the Age website, which is like a major newspaper here in Melbourne. But unfortunately online they have like a paywall, so you can only get a certain number of free articles a month. And mine had expired, but it was all about decision making, and apparently it was going to give you the magic to how to make decisions. But alas, I can't share that with you because I couldn't get behind the paywall. But I think it was all about how there's sort of decision fatigue, and then sometimes like you've got just a quite minor decision or something to make, but you really struggle to make it. I like to think I'm pretty decisive. Although I know we're all a bit, when we're sewing things and creating things, sometimes it's like, oh, do I do it this way or not? I think that's why I actually like the Roxy projects, because they give me a bit of a deadline, so it's a bit of a kick along to complete. Something I learnt when I years ago was teaching some cooking classes in my spare time. I was still working a full-time job back then as well. It was actually a really good exercise because I had lots of hobbies, but where I wouldn't really necessarily sort of follow through and bring them to conclusions. Not that you need to do that with a hobby, right? It's something to do for the enjoyment, but I was kind of a bit frustrated with myself that I'd start things off but not finish them. But doing the cooking classes was really good for me because it gave me a date by which I would have developed my recipes, bought all the ingredients, done all the prep, got all the supplies I needed to, like the bowls and things, and organised all of that inventory, and then deliver the cooking class. And it kind of, I learnt something through that process about myself that I was then able to bring to other things, and also learnt what it is I kind of need. I work well with a deadline. Otherwise, I'll tend to just want to add to or dabble or dibble for quite a bit of time, because I often enjoy the process of the actual, I guess, experimenting along the way. So let's use some of our other ones just so I can then be doing less gluing and more adding, and then we'll move on and do some stitching, I think. So we might just get another little row. Once you've got a few of these, if you do want to kind of do them in bulk, you can give them a bulk ironing, focusing particularly, as I say, on this side, because that's where you want the crease to be really sharp. That one I have ironed over a little bit, but only at the top. Oh, that's hot. Iron's getting nice and warmed up. Hopefully I'm staying on screen. Apologies for the shadows. It is night time, as it tends to be. Apart from the one video or two videos I get done on the weekend, only one this time I think. Most of my ones are nighttime videos. So now comes the exciting, interesting bit where we're going to use our template, and if you can see, it's got some, as well as having these cut out shapes, it's got some lines drawn on here, as well as areas where you can actually draw your own little flowers on and embroider those. I won't be doing that on this because it's quite decorative already. So what I want to do on these ones is to then be lining these lines up with the base of these ones along here. So I'm going to be lining the line there, and I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see, but I'm going to do it and line them up so they're lined all the way along pretty much right. And then I can just come in and add my next shapes. Hopefully not getting lots of glue around. And so as you can see, I'm just lining them up with where the template is. And you can just check as you go along that you're not getting it sort of out of whack at all. And if you want to, you can, there's little pin marks, so you can put pins through or put some little quilty clips on. I'm just going to kind of have it sitting like that. This one I had already ironed, so it's ready to roll. I'm going to try and put some glue on over here where I won't knock the template, but again, before I do it, I'm just going to check my template is still lined up, which it is. Oops, a bit too much glue on there. Check we're still aligned, we are. And then sticky it on. Maybe that one in there. Don't think I've given this an iron, so I better just give it a quick iron-a-roo. Oops. Just do this side, I think that should be enough. Let's just put a little bit in there. Let it fold back down to where the creases were. And then I'll just put this sheet down here to use over here. Sorry, I'm just gluing off screen, but you've probably seen me doing the glue already. And so yeah, this is where the template really comes into its own, as it were, because this is where it really helps you to line up and get your fabric where you want it to be. So again, just checking that all the other ones are staying in alignment while I do this. And don't worry which way it's overlapping up here, because as you can see, once they're in place, there's really not, and you don't get to see the further uppery bits, if that makes sense. Which it possibly doesn't. No, we're not going to use that one there. So I'm always looking to see what's going to kind of be a colour tone that I don't have. And apologies, my work computer behind me is talking to me, it seems. So we'll just add another one down here. Again, talking, someone might be messaging me, but they can wait. I should have logged out, but I've left it on, haven't I? Don't they know I'm trying to do slow stitching? Don't they know I've got important people in my craft room with me that I'm entertaining? I mean, it isn't really the hour to be talking work anyway, is it? As they say, no rest for the wicked. I'm not really wicked. It's a joke. I don't think I'm wicked. I'm naughty sometimes, but not wicked. And only naughty in a fun way. In a silly, playful way. Okay, will we finish one more here? Let's hope the computer stops pinging. It seems to have, they seem to have gone away. They've gone, nope, Christine has retired for the night. I'd love to know where your craft room is. Your craft room shared with another room? So mine is my work from home office. in one corner. I've allocated it a corner, and then the rest of it is craft room. So I purposely put the computer in the corner so I can't see my crafty stuff when I'm working. I do have a set of like crafty drawers that sort of back onto where my corner desk is. And then thankfully when I'm at my craft desk I can't actually see my work desk, because it's all the way behind. And normally the computer would be off by now, but it's not. So I'm just again going to line these up. Then going to add this one into this little spot here, like that. And then I'm going to bring that one over as well. And it can sometimes be useful to just give these a little iron as well, to make sure they stay nicely folded over. So all I'm going to do with these, but I won't do it in the video because I want to show you the stitchy bit, is I'll keep going up to the top until I've got the set number of rows. So I'll be doing another row, another row, another row, and a tiny row at the top. So that will be that. Now let me clear off the paper because we won't need that. Let me move the templates down to the end. I will still need those as I continue the roof, but not on video. Let's put away the glue. Let's grab my handy little face washery hand wipe, which has picked up a piece of fluff. You probably thought, what's that mold on there? No, it has picked up some felting black fluff. It's not my hair. Funny, I did brush my hair today and found I had I realised yesterday, because I'd been work from home, I just had my hair up in a clip. I don't think I actually brushed my hair yesterday morning, and so I think I'd sort of accumulated a knot overnight, but it was quite a large knot at the back. At first I thought there was a cootie nesting in there, but no, it wasn't a cootie. Okay, let's get our nice, not our random threads that are attached to our nice stuff. I'm going to turn off my iron because we don't need that. Okay, what are we going to use? I was using, I think, my big needle. Was I? I think I was, because I think it's got a reasonable amount of thickness in it, and sometimes I like a javelin type needle in that case rather than a small one that kind of pokies into my finger when I'm pushing it through. I am going to use my thimble on my thumble. My thimble on my thumb. And you could do whatever decorative stitch you like. I was quite happy just with a little running stitch, because the purpose this serves is anchoring them down, because the glue is just really giving you a temporary sort of semi-permanent gluing. But as you can see with the Yoo-hoo glue, the great thing is you can continue to peel them off. So if you happen to get them all wrongly, if you got a bit in a flap and got them wrongly positioned, you'd be able to peel them off and continue on your way. So it is only a sort of a semi-permanent hold. So because this is all going to be sandwiched together, it's fine to just pop through from the back with the notch. And I'm just going to, how do I want to hold it? Oh, I think I'll hold it like that. And I'm just going to do punch. What's it called when you go up and down, up and down? Punch stitches, I think, is it? Not punch needling, obviously, because that's something entirely different. No, stab stitches, that's what it's called. Stab stitching. Rather than doing it in fluid movements. It's a bit hard to do it in the fluid movements because there is a bit of thickness here. Interestingly, I find it much easier to stitch through Yoo-hoo glue than steamer seam. Steamer seam does seem to put a little bit of sticky residue on the needle, whereas Yoo-hoo glue does not. Don't know if I'm doing big dog's teeth stitches, but I think it'll be fine. I just like this colour because I think this colour is just a nice neutral tone that goes really well with the the other colours on the roof. But it's just got a little bit of metallic in it without being an annoying metallic to stitch with. Because none of us love stitching with metallics, I don't think. Well, shout out if you do, because you might need to teach us about your favourite metallic brand and how you make it work well. They tend to be one of the more annoying threads to stitch with. Thimble's fallen off. We'll see how we go without it until you hear an ouch sound, and that will be me going, no, I need to wear the thimble. But it's actually not too bad. Oops. So we've just got this row to do because I've done the other stitching. I try and sort of get things done so that I can progress forth with you, but still show you everything that's involved, so that if you do want to follow along in my experiments, you can do that. So yeah, after tonight's video I'll need to get busy on the other two walls. Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about the internals. I think I've only got enough of that internal fabric for 2 of the walls, but I've got some similar colours and some coordinating ones, so I guess the walls inside might have different wallpaper on them, but that's okay. Unless I get my friendly lady at Little Patch of Heaven to send me a little bit more of it, although I have said that I don't go out and buy new things for projects. Maybe that's why the universe sent me 2, why I accidentally ended up with ordering 2 of those particular fabric packs, but one of those lovely fabric packs winged its way off to one of my lucky subscribers as my giveaway. But I'm very happy it's there, and lucky subscriber, do not be sending it back, because I've got a very easy source if I did decide I need it, but I think it might be kind of cool inside to have different fabrics anyway. Or I think everything happens for a reason, and as the lovely Fleur Woods, amazing embroidery and texture artist, says, there's no right or wrong when we're creating, and I'm paraphrasing her here. It's just every choice we make might facilitate or require a different design or creative choice next. So that sort of sense that what we do in one step, it's not a mistake, it just then prompts another choice about what your next creative move will be. A bit like a big creative chess game, isn't it? I don't play chess, so I don't actually know if that's a very good parallel to make it all. But something about the moves, about the strategy, about the tactics. But for me, I do have to just start stitching to actually think it through. I can kind of have a concept, but then I need to get going, and the ideas flow, and the sort of the twists or the innovations, they come as I work, as I play, as I trial, as something doesn't work, or I've got to then come up with something else. And I think that's what Fleur's kind of getting at when she talks about that. I really want to have some more time to actually spend some quality time reading the rest of Fleur's book. I've looked at it lots, I've read sections of it, but I really want to, one weekend when I'm not rushing off to the craft room to stitch or to be sorting and tidying and packing and all sorts of things, I'd like to have some quiet reading time. Problem is, in the evenings of the weekdays I tend to just stitch until bedtime, so I don't even read in bed. I kind of, yeah, stitch the maximum amount, and then off to bed I have to go. So once we get to the end, I'll just show you the process of stitching the sides, because we'll be ready to do that. Yeah, I think I've got nice green coordinating fabric that goes with the inside, so I think that could be really cool, because then that would bring some of the extra colours from the outside in also. It's just such a wonderful complementing palette across all of these Moda French General fabrics that I've used for these pieces, and I think these ones are Moda as well, French General, but I could be wrong. I'd have to check back to my order. So I'm going to finish off and just put a knot in here and anchor that piece on, and then I can actually just pass my needle. Do I have actually enough? I should, to start off anyway. So I'm just going to come up to the join up here, then I'm going to flip. I'll just check I've done all my stitching. Yes, I didn't miss anything in the process. No. So I'm just going to want to tuck that in a little bit with my needle, and then we're going to just start doing some, and this is where I'll use the board to help push my needle through the multiple layers. I'll no doubt unthread my needle in the process, I'm sure. Oops. And I might do it this way, because then I can just pick up just the smallest amount of the inside of the roof. But as I say, I want to kind of pull the roof so it comes over. Just the edge comes a little bit over, so I'm just going to catch the smallest amount. Hopefully you can see okay. Once I've done another stitch, I'll just see how it's looking from the front of the roof. I've now given myself a notch. No, I haven't. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that's then just coming down and sitting nice and flush. Yeah, I think it's definitely easier doing it from the back and just catching a bit of the front. And so this is just a little sort of whip or overcast stitch, but great for joining little seams together, unless you want to use the invisible ladder stitch. But here I'm happy with this sort of more slightly decorative stitch. Or just gives that slow stitchy feel. Oh, I am stabbing that sore little spot on my thumb, so I'm going to put my thimble on to protect my thumb. So I think that's probably enough to show you. I won't keep stitching all the way around, but we are going to stitch down both sides. And then with these ones, I think I'm probably going to use just a light cotton and just lightly stitch these ones down, probably through the bottom pieces, because on these I actually put some hexies on the back, just in case you saw any of the under edge. I don't think you're really going to see it, but I'll probably still do it on this one, because I don't want to see any pink. So for that I just put, when I was gluing the hexies down, just glued some on the back and just glued some extra ones where I had the overlap as well, and that's where I use some of those colourful ones that I didn't want to use on the front piece. So once that's done, that will be a complete roof. I'll then need to work on the other walls, work on the other roof section, and then I'll come back when we're ready to start putting the roof on, and I'll show you, once I work it out, how I'm going to hinge the one bit of the roof to flip up. I think I'm just going to join it to the other piece of the roof by having a set of stitching along here, or possibly a piece of lace to act as the flippy bit of it. So that will be in the next episode, I think, unless I come back and show you my other method using just the glue like I did here to do the hexies, to see how that would work, using the excuse me, I was just having a little tickle in the throat. Using the glue to do the hexies and then gluing them onto a piece of fabric, almost using the Yoo-hoo glue like I used the steamer seam, but then stitching over it to hold it in place, or possibly even doing some different decorative stitching over it. So I'll have a ponder on that, and if I think there's enough in that, I'll come back and do that in a video as well. So thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.